Hey guys, and welcome back to my fourth video entitled Listening and Responding to Someone with Depression. Listening and responding is something that we do every day. Everyone can do it, and it seems to be a really straightforward and easy thing to do, or so we think. So you might be asking yourself, why is he making this video? Well, the reason is that I don't think a lot of people know how to listen. I think we hear other people, but listening is a completely different animal. Whether you hear or you listen, it elicits different responses, which can be extremely important when talking to someone who is going through depression. So the way I think of it is this. Hearing is the process of sound waves going through your ear canal, stimulating your inner ear, and then your brain processing that sound. Pretty simple, right? Listening, on the other hand, is a little more complex. It requires that you make eye contact, you wait for the other person to finish speaking. You're not simply waiting for your turn to respond. And you're also physically close if possible. Obviously, you can't do some of these things if you're talking through text message. So if at all possible, try to have a face-to-face conversation with someone. And even suggesting having a face-to-face conversation or some sort of video chat would be helpful, because a lot of the time this is just a more personal form of communication, and it would mean a lot to the other person, I think, if you kind of went above and beyond and suggested something more personal like that. Additionally, someone who is depressed feels really lonely a lot of the time, and like no one's in their corner, that no one cares about them. So I think if you suggested a video conversation or a face-to-face conversation if possible, it would really mean a lot and show the person who is depressed that you really care about them and that there's people out there that are in their corner. And I could attest to this as someone who has gone through depression my entire life. I remember feeling like no one cared about me, that even if I hurt myself, that no one would bat an eye. So I really want to express the importance of being there for someone, both physically and emotionally, and don't want to understate the importance of it. So if you remember earlier from the video, I talked about hearing and listening and how they can elicit different responses. So if you're simply hearing someone talk about how they're feeling, then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Your body posture is too closed off, like your arms are folded sometimes, or even too relaxed. You're not making eye contact, you're kind of looking all over the room, and you're thinking about other things while they're talking. So obviously you're not being an attentive listener, and it doesn't come across as really showing care that the other person needs during this time. And as a result, your responses are not going to be very constructive, and you're going to come across as really detached. You might even say things like, mm-hmm, or sure, that's too bad, or I'm sorry to hear that. So as you could tell, because I wasn't listening and wasn't being attentive, my responses came across as that way. They sound really detached, like there's almost kind of a loathing that comes across with them. If you're listening, however, you're pretty much doing the opposite. You have a respectful posture. A lot of times you are kind of leaning forward. You're close to the person. I would say sitting next to the person or directly across, but keeping in close proximity with the person as well. You're making eye contact, not thinking about other things or looking around the room, and really showing that kind of attention that someone with depression needs at that time. Sometimes a hand on the back or even holding the person's hand if you are comfortable with them is a good thing to do as well. So when you're listening, you're going to have more constructive responses. You are going to reiterate what they're saying just to clarify that you have everything right. You're going to ask them questions and try to get out as much information as you can, as long as they're comfortable with that. And you're also going to be saying things like, I understand how you're feeling, or what you're going through is really normal. Things just to make it more normal for them, because at that time they might think that they're the only one that's going through that. I know I felt like that when I was in high school. I didn't think anyone else was feeling the way I was and that it was some abnormal thing, when in actuality it wasn't. So trying to make them feel as comfortable as they can is extremely important in my opinion. And this is another really important thing to understand. Don't use this time as an opportunity for you to talk about how you're feeling. If you have gone through depression in the past, that's totally fine, and you can mention that and say that you know how they're feeling because you've gone through something similar, but don't use it as an opportunity to talk about how you've been feeling. Like, if you've been sad for the past couple days, don't say, I know how you're feeling, I've been sad for the past couple days, or go on some tangent or some story about something sad that happened to you, like you got a bad grade or something like that. Make sure that you're focusing on the person who has approached you. That's really important to do. Going on about yourself will make you come across as really insensitive and like you don't care or can't give the time to the other person to finish what they're saying. So that's something to be aware of. Also, offer to hang out with the person who's talking to you. A lot of the times, someone who is depressed is looking for a friend, someone who cares, someone just to talk about everyday things with. And if you don't hang out, then just stay in touch through text. Offer to video call again next week. You don't have to be their therapist by any means, but I think just being there for someone in their time of need is really important. It's not something that you have to do daily by any means, because I know in my shoes, if a friend of mine was kind of checking in on me daily saying, how are you feeling today, every single day, it would maybe be a little bit too much. But if you're simply in their life and being steady and consistent with chatting them up every once in a while, then that's a good thing to do. And finally, if things are really bad with the person you're talking to, like they're suicidal and you think that they're posing a risk to themselves, an immediate risk, like they will hurt themselves if you leave them alone, then please get them help. Call 911, call the suicide hotline, call someone that they're close with to get them the help that they need. Alright guys, thanks so much for tuning in to my 4th video. I'll be back again next week. In the meantime, like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.